from my apartment, believe it or not. So
Wow.
that's a great Canadian product, I guess.
No, that's really exciting. I have to say,
Yeah.
Teams is definitely the most exciting product that's really going to revolutionize business applications. And without further ado, Eric, it's over to you.
Thank you. So can everyone see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Okay, perfect. So thanks again for taking the time to attend my following presentation. It's my pleasure having this opportunity to present and to meet everyone here today. So my session today is on how we can leverage the integration between Dynamics 365 and Microsoft Teams to enhance collaboration of sales for sales team members, whether it's between their peers, their colleagues, or with their customers to assist with their sales activities. And this integration feature is especially relevant and beneficial today as organizations transition to a remote work environment due to COVID-19. And even after the pandemic is over, we expect a shift and greater focus on remote online collaboration between between colleagues, users, and customers. So this is especially important and beneficial for sales organizations, to make sure that we equip sales teams with the proper tools that they would require to help facilitate them tracking different information in their sales activities, from tracking prospect, lead, pipeline opportunities, and customer information. So just a little bit about myself. So again, my name is Eric Lane. I'm in Toronto, Canada. I'm currently a senior manager, the Dynamics 365 customer engagement CRM lead at Proactivity. For those who may not be as familiar with us, we are a global consulting firm with offices in many countries, and I'm based out of our Toronto, Canadian office. We are a Microsoft partner, and we offer different stack of Microsoft solutions to our clients through our overall technology consulting practice. So for our agenda today, we will revisit a quick overview of Dynamics 365 and Microsoft Teams. We will look at some of the key features and benefits related to the integration. And I will spend some time going over a few demo scenarios. We will look at how we would set up the integrations. And once we have the integration set up, how we can manage leads and opportunities within the Teams environment, how we can manage customer information such as account. And we'll also look at the Dynamics 365 bot assistant feature. We'll take a look at how we can use the integration to allow us to track tasks created from Dynamics 365 within the Teams planner view. And finally, we'll take a look at the mobile experience, and then opening up the floor for some Q&A. So a quick overview of Dynamics 365. I'm sure most people on this call is familiar with the platform, but just in case if there are others who may not be as familiar. So Dynamics 365 is a business application platform that is highly configurable and scalable. At a high level, the applications are grouped under two main umbrellas, if you will. So we have the customer engagement applications, which are these applications on the right, and then we have the applications related to finance and operations on the left. The platform Dynamics 365 is deployed in the Microsoft Azure cloud. It leverages the CDS as its main database. It's now called as Data Flex Pro, as some of you might have heard from the recent Microsoft announcement. It integrates very seamlessly with Microsoft 365, where Microsoft Teams belong. And we can use Power Platforms such as Power Apps, Power Automate, Power BI, Power Portal to achieve extended capabilities on the Dynamics 365 platform beyond what's available out of the box or what's available through its configuration, customization capabilities. And finally, there are different apps available that we can download from the app source that we can install to the platform to work with the solutions. So the integrations between Dynamics 365 and Microsoft Teams only applies to the customer engagement applications of Dynamics 365 today, such as sales, customer service, so on and so forth. So unfortunately, today, based on my understanding, it doesn't support the applications related to finance and operations. For our focus today, we'll be focusing on some of the business scenarios within the sales environment. The sales applications allows organization to track prospects or leads, to nurture opportunities and just try to close those opportunities in their pursuit, managing their pipeline, and finally be able to manage their customer relationship, the different interactions with their customers, whether it's being account or contact. So just a quick overview on Microsoft Teams. I'm sure so everybody on this call is familiar with the tools or have used the tools for quite some time right now. So it's a collaboration tools, and many organizations around the world have adopted Teams in their transition to a remote office setting due to the COVID-19 situations. And with Teams, organizations can allow employees or users to be more productive and to get the work done more effectively in a remote collaboration environment. We can have Teams channels that allows user to better manage communications as they work with different cross-functional divisions or departments. Besides the chat or online meetings, Teams also allow easy collaborations or exchange on files, on documents across multiple devices, whether it's desktop, laptop, tablet, or mobile phones. And there are also a suite of different applications that can be integrated with Teams, including Dynamics 365. So what's the beauty or benefits of having this integration between Dynamics 365 and Microsoft Teams? So it provides a shared workplace that the users are familiar with, and to work with the different the sales data records, such as opportunities or customers accounts or contact information directly within the Teams environment. It promotes collaborations between colleagues, peers, and customers, and be able to exchange files. So for example, we can upload documents through Teams, and that will be available to be accessible through the Dynamics records. It's also supported on the Teams mobile app, which we'll also take a look during the demo. And finally, this whole integration is all built-in and supported natively without needing to leverage any additional tools or custom development. So let's jump into the demo. Sorry, is there questions on the call?
No questions?
Okay, perfect. So the first demo, excuse me, scenario that we want to look at is how do we set up the integration between Dynamics 365 and Teams. So let me switch to my Dynamics 365 environment. So this is a demoed trial environment that I've set up for this presentation. So to enable the integrations, the first thing we need to do is we need to go into the system settings in Dynamics 365. So once in settings, so let me open up system settings. So under the general tab, there's a couple of options that we can see here underneath Microsoft Teams integrations. So we need to enable these two settings from the default option of no to yes. So this is to enable the basic Microsoft Teams integrations and also the enhanced Microsoft Teams integrations. So you may be wondering what's the difference between the two. So the key difference between the two is with the enhanced Microsoft Teams integration options enabled or set to yes, as part of the integration experience, you would have the option to add recommended team members when you try to connect the Dynamics 365 records or views to your team's channels. So what I've done already is I've already enabled these two options. So let me just exit out of this. So once we have done that, the next thing is we need to enable and set up the Dynamics 365 app in our Microsoft Teams. So this is the Microsoft Teams environment that I've set up for this this presentation. So once we are in Microsoft Teams, so notice on the left-hand side we have the apps menu, or we can also click on the three dots, and then we can basically search for the Dynamics 365 app. And because I have already added this this app to the Teams environment, so that's why it's you see this says open, it's already set up. But basically, as part of the setup process, it will ask you to connect to the appropriate Dynamics 365 instance. So let me show you what I mean by that. So because I have it set up, so let me first of all, so once you have this Dynamics 365 app set up, you can just pin this to your Teams environment. So now that I'm in this Dynamics 365 app within the Teams environment, if I go to settings, so right now this is already connected with my Dynamics 365 environment, Productivity in this case. And I've also indicated that I want to integrate with my my specific Dynamics 365 app called Dynamics 365 demo. So these are the options, the setup that the setup user, the setup wizard will guide you through if you were to set up the Dynamics 365 app from scratch. One thing to point out here is that this integration is only supported for Dynamics 365 app that's created on the unified interface experience, which is what I've done for my Dynamics 365 demo app here. Okay, so a couple of things we can take a look since we're here is that within this Dynamics 365 app, notice that when I click on my dashboard, so because the integration is now established between Teams and my Dynamics 365 environment, we can quickly and easily see the dashboard from Dynamics 365 being surfaced directly here. right? So the interface may just slightly look a little bit different, but again, it's the same list of dashboard that you would be able to normally access if you were working within your dynamic 365 environment. The same list of system dashboard here. So again, you'll be able to drill down into the dashboard. For example, I can look at the record for this specific chart. I can go into a specific area in the chart to drill down into my Dynamics record. Exactly the same actions that's supported as if you would normally do within Dynamics 365. Also, down below, you have the option to actually navigate to other areas of Dynamics 365 right within the Teams environment. So, for instance, I can go into account, and you'll be able to see exactly the same list of the account views as you would normally do within the Dynamics 365. So everything it's available for access. It's pretty convenient. So the idea here is that users can actually work with Dynamics 365 within the Teams environment without having to toggle between the different applications. So it's very, very convenient. Okay, so let's look at the next demo scenario. Is now that we have the integration set up, how we can leverage the integration to manage our sales opportunity. So imagine we are a sales organization, and imagine that I'm part of the sales teams, how I can leverage the integration to manage different information such as lead opportunities and the customers that I'm managing. So let me get back to my Teams environments again. So right now I'm going to click on Teams here. So for this demonstrations, I pre-created a Teams called Sales Team, and I've set up a couple of channels underneath the sales team called Active Account and Open Opportunities. So what we can do here is that if I select the Active Account channel, so notice on the right hand side here, we have a tab called Active Account. So when I click on this tab, this will show us basically the active account view. So this is fetching the view and the record information from the Dynamics 365 instance that I'm connected to. All right, so I pre-set up this connection, this tab here. So the idea here again is that I could be working on this list of accounts as part of the sales team, and so through this I can collaborate the information with my peers. So on the right hand side panel, which I've opened right now, this is the chat window, so we can collapse or open this again. So here I can type in my chat. Let's just say need to follow up with account information. So I can exchange the chat through this team channel related to the information that I'm looking at here. So it provides a convenient way for salespeople. If in this case, let's say I'm part of the sales teams, I can look at the account information on the same view and having a chat with my peers. And as the native Teams experience, these chat informations are all captured within the post areas, so we can come into the post and kind of see the chat history here. And if I go back to the active account view here, so I can directly open the account record. So for example, if I want to open this record Adventure Works, so these are sample account record, account data or dynamic sampled record that I've set up as part of the demoed environment in Dynamic 365. So I can directly, view the account information here. I can also edit this record. So for example, let's say I want to make a quick change. I can hit save, and this update will be saved, in real time. Right? So this is real-time integration between Teams and Dynamics. So similarly, I can go into this other channel that I call Open Opportunities. And again, I've pre-created a tab called Open Opportunities, where I have integrated the Open Opportunities view from my Dynamic 365. So the same thing, I can exchange chat information, peers, and the chat will be all captured as part of the communication history in a chat window or within post. Similarly, I can open the opportunities as I manage through the opportunity sales cycle. So I can do everything as I would normally do in Dynamic 365 directly within the Teams here. I can qualify the opportunities. I can view the the timelines. I can look at some of the history of activity interaction that's been done related to these opportunities. At my fingertips, right on within this this same interface. So let's look at so how do we establish these tabs. So let's just say we want to create a new channel to manage our lead or our contact. So let's add a new channel. I'm going to call this open lead. So now that I have this channel added, so now I can click on this this plus symbol here, and I can look for my Dynamic 365 app or connections. So on this pop-up window, so there's a couple of options that we can do here. So we can pin a specific Dynamics 365 record to this channel at the top of the tab, or we can bring in a view. Right? So let's say we are interested in bring in the our open lead view from our lead entity. So first of all, we select which entity we want to work with. So this is all directly connected with our Dynamic 365 environment. So now we are looking at the list of our system views, in this case under lead. So I want to bring in the open lead view here. So as you can see, just with a few simple clicks, now we have brought in our open lead view from Dynamic 365 into this channel within Teams. So similarly, we can open the lead record directly from here. As we work with the lead, as we nurture the lead, and again we can exchange chat with our peers. So similarly, we can create another channel for example my contact, and we can exactly do the same thing. Go through the Dynamic 365 app assistance, search for the contact entities, and in this case, for example, if I'm interested in bringing my active contact view, so within Teams, I can conveniently, have a quick summary snapshot of the list of my active contact that I'm managing, responsible for, for the sales activities. Another thing to point it out here is that now that we have the record connected between Teams and Dynamics 365, it allows us to easily exchange documents or files. So, for example, if we are working on this particular contact called Maria, for example, so let me open up the Maria contact. So let's say, as part of my chat with my sales team peers, we want to upload or share a document. So I can click on this attach icon here. So let's say we want to upload this client document. So once this document is uploaded, this document is now available in two places. The first place is within the Files tab within our Teams channel. So this is a document that I just uploaded, and I can open it to view the document information. The other place is within the contact. So for example, if I go back to the Maria contact record here, when I click on the Files tab, so this is now the Dynamics record. Oops. So let me see that again. I'm going to, first of all, apology on that little hiccup here. I'm going to directly pin the, so what I'm doing here is selecting the Maria contact record and pin the record directly to my channel. So doing that, you see that we have the option of pinging a view from Dynamics 365 to the Teams channel, or we can also pin a specific record to the same channel as well. So now if I, let me do that again, if I upload a document, so again, this document is available in the Files tab within the channel. And if I go back to the Maria contact record, so now we see the same document has also been uploaded, attached to the Dynamics record as part of this contact. Okay, so let's look at the next demo scenario here is how we can also leverage the integration to manage our customer information. So similar to what we have just done here, so we can create a new team. So I'm going to create a new team here. So let's give it a name, for example, key account. So similar to what we do with Teams, in here we can add our members. So I have another team member called Joe Smith that I've set up. So let me also add Joe to this particular team that I'm creating now. So now we have a new team set up called Key Account with myself and also Joe Smith as the team members here. So what we can do here is let's create a a couple of channels. So for example, can create a channel called Adventure Works to represent a specific account. So let me do another one. So the idea here is that imagine we have set up a team called Key Account to manage, our individual, key customer account record. So in this case, I've set up 2 channels representing two specific customers. So now that within this Adventure Works channel, I can do similar to what I demonstrated previously. I can try to bring in the specific account record. So let's look for Adventure Works. So we have an account record called Adventure Works in the system. So let's bring that into this channel. And similarly, we can do that with the City Power channel as well. So this allows us to, quickly and easily, manage and work with our customer account. So now within the channel, so I can have, chat with my team members. So for example, I can mention this to Joe. I can say something like, please contact client. So now, if I switch to my other browser here, so in this browser, I'm logging as Joe Smith here. So as you can see, when Joe logs into his Teams environment, because I've included Joe as part of the key account team. So now Joe has access to this team. And when Joe goes to the Adventure Works channel, Joe can also see the this particular customer account record within this channel. And obviously Joe can see the message that I just posted, mentioned to him, so that Joe can react accordingly. So this allows like team members to collaborate on the information, collaborate on the customer record within the team's environment. And and similarly, right? So if I go back. Now I'm looking at the my own Teams environment. So similarly, I can exchange my document with Joe from here. So let's upload the document again. And I can say, Joe, please look at the document. So now if I go back to Joe's Teams environment, right? So Joe would have access to the document and be able to do the appropriate follow-up actions. So this is how we can easily manage, exchange customer information through this integration here. So moving on to the next demo scenario is let's look at the Dynamic 365 bot assistant. So now in my Teams environment, again, on the left-hand side, where I've pinned my Dynamic 365 app, if I click on this, and if I click on the Chat tab over here, so this is the place where we can interact with the Dynamic 365 bot. Right, so we can ask the bot some questions. So let me first of all make sure that I'm connected to the right app, my Dynamic 365 app. So we can do something like search Nancy. Let's try something else. Opportunities. So the bot is now processing based on the search that we have entered. So it's smart enough to return the relevant opportunities where I am the owner of the opportunity in this case, and I can click on the respective opportunity record, and it will present me with some of the additional details related to this particular opportunity. And I can click on open in Dynamic 365, and that would actually launch our Dynamic 365 environment with that particular opportunity record. Right. So now if I go back to the bot, so similarly, let me search for. So the bot will respond with a list of my customer contact that I'm managing here, and I can look at whichever one that I'm interested in. So for example, I can quickly look up the contact information, the email, phone numbers. Also within here, we also have the option of drilling down into the associated account or opportunities related to this particular contact pool. So if I click on show account, it will fetch the customer account that this particular contact is related to, or opportunities that's being created for this particular customer. Right, so there's a quick, easy way using the chatbot assistant here to do some search on our Dynamics record within the Teams environment without needing to open Dynamics 365 in another separate browser. Another thing while we are looking at the bot that's worth mentioning here is that effective last month, early June, June 2nd, I believe, the Dynamic 365 bot assistant actually has been deprecated. So we are on July 25th now. So until end of this month, Microsoft will continue to provide support for this feature, but will not release any additional functionality beyond what's already present. Microsoft is working on a replacement of the bot, so development is currently in progress, and hopefully, in the very near future, a more powerful bot will be released with added additional features to enhance that user experience. So moving on to the next demo scenario, so I want to show you how we can, using the integrations to capture tasks created in Dynamic 365 into Teams and to display in the Teams planner. So let me go back to the environment here. So over here, I have pre-established the connections between my Microsoft Teams and the planner, which I've set up here. So once this is set up, the next thing what we can do is with Power Automate. So again, if you search for Dynamics activities to planner task, in the Power Automate template, so there's already a template that's been created that we can tweak to basically auto create a planner task once a task activity is created in Dynamics 365, so that we can surface and capture that planner task within the team's environment to quickly alert end users there's been a task that's been assigned to him or her. So let's quickly take a look at this particular Power Automate or flow logic. It's a pretty straightforward logic that's been set up here. So let me go into the edit mode. So what this flow is doing is, once the record is created, so in this case task, and we have in this case we have link this flow to my instance or organization productivity, which is my Dynamics 365 organizations. So once the task is created in Dynamics 365, we want to get the user record. So meaning we want to retrieve the owner information, the owner that's assigned to the task in Dynamics 365, and pass the information to this get user profile actions, so that when we create this planner task, we can then assign the owner of the Dynamics 365 task record to be the owner of the planner task. So that's essentially what this logic is doing here. And we can also basically copy over the start date and due date from the Dynamics 365 task record over to the planner task record over here. So pretty straightforward logics. So now let's execute and see what this does. So before I do that, actually, let me go back to my my teams, and let me go back to my Adventure Works channel. And I'm also going to create a tab that's related to my planner called task. So the idea here is that I want to be able to monitor and manage relevant task that's being created related to this particular customer record Adventure Works. Okay, so now let's go back to our Dynamics 365 environment, and let's go into that particular customer record called Adventure Works. And let's create a couple of different tasks. I'm going to first of all create a task and assign that task to me, myself. So let me do that. So let's call this is task for Eric. So I'm the owner of the task, and let's give it a due date of August 1st. Going to save it, and let's create a second task for Joe, who is my other team member. And I'm going to change the owner to Joe in this case. Let's give it a due date of end of the month. Save and close. So it would take a couple of minutes for our Power Automate flow to run. So while we are waiting for that, let's quickly take a look at my last demo scenario, which is the mobile experience, and then we'll come back to check on our planner task. So with the mobile experience, so I'm going to actually project my phone to the screen. So just give me a second here. So what I want to show is what the so this is my phone here. So let me go into the Teams mobile app. So here I'm logging as my other team member, Joe Smith. So using the Teams mobile app, so as you can see here, I can also access the same information that as I would within the desktop environment. I can also see the documents which we saw in the demo earlier that I've uploaded against this particular customer record Adventure Works. So I can open the documents and see the information. I can also monitor the chat with my team members. And what we can do here is we can go into the Dynamic 365 Assistant, which is integrated with the Teams mobile app. So I can do the same thing. So let's say we want to search for opportunities. Let's say search opportunities. Let's try that again. So now it returns the search result. So imagine I'm Joe. I'm working like I'm on the road on my way to have a meeting with the customers, or if I'm at a remote workplace. Through the Teams mobile app, I can quickly look at the opportunity records, and I can open the records and in Dynamic 365 to view the information. So now let's actually take a look at whether or not the task has been created. Let me just move this to the side a little bit. So looks like the flow has not been triggered. Let's see here. Let me go into the planners. So it shouldn't take this long for this flow to execute. The idea here is that just for the interest of time, what I would be expecting to see is if I go back to my Dynamic 365. So let's go back to, let me see if I might have any previous record that's created here. Oops, sorry, that's my phone going to the sleep mode. So let me actually move this away. So the idea here is that once the Power Automate runs, we will be able to see the planner task record display here with the assigned owner. And then similarly, if I go back to Joe's Teams environment, if I go into the task tab here, from Joe's perspective, Joe will also see that second task that's being created and assigned to him. So my apology, I'm not sure why the flow has not been triggered in this case, but that's what we would expect to see. So using that Power Automate, it will allow us to quickly be able to capture the task record created in Dynamic 365 and be able to display so that we can manage and follow up with that action accordingly within the Teams environment. So that's the end of my demo presentation today. I want to make sure that I save a few minutes at the end to allow for any questions if there are any in the chat window. Any questions from anyone?
Hello there, Eric. I was on mute. Apologies for that. So there are questions actually, Eric. So the first question is it possible to surface Teams records in MS Dynamics 365?
Teams record, for example.
So Davey, I'm assuming, yeah. So I'm assuming it's chat records, communication records?
Yes, yeah, good question. So unfortunately, today that particular integration to, for example, synchronize chat within Teams over to Dynamics record. For example, you may be thinking to capture that under the timeline areas on the record. That's not supported possible today. But hopefully that will be a an enhancement feature that will be released very soon.
Pankaj is asking what access should users have to integrate with Teams and Dynamics?
So good question. So in order for users in Teams to be able to access the Dynamics record in Teams, those users will need to have the appropriate Dynamics 365 license. And obviously, the ability to either simply read or the ability to modify the record in Teams. So that would depending on the like your permissions in Dynamics 365. If the user in Teams do not have the Dynamics 365 license, then that user would not be able to see the Dynamics record in Teams. However, the user will still be able to see and exchange the files and all the documents.
Excellent. And the next question is, do we need any consent checks in AD to allow integration?
No, so basically, as part of the integration setup, so actually, let me get back to my Teams environment. So when we first set up the Dynamics 365 app here, and as part of the configuration process, it would just simply allow you to provide the consent, like to provide the permissions on just like you would get when you try to, for example, allow consent or permissions, to access certain like login to browsers. But there's no special additional consent or step you would need to do within AD.
Davey's asking, when uploaded, where is the document getting stored?
So once the document is uploaded, so the document is stored in the file tab within the Teams channel. So for example, in this particular Adventure Works channel, we have the file store here. As well, in Dynamics, the same file is also created and stored against this particular record here.
Okay, the next question is it possible? Oh, yeah, we've asked that question. Is it, here we go. So it's a question regarding licensing. Integration in Teams and access to D365 would require full license, or can it be done with team members?
I believe team members is supported as well. So whether it's the full license or team member license, both are supported.
The file tab that was in the record, is it the same as the document tab for SharePoint?
Correct. And good question. So what happened is, so the same permissions, security permissions applied as in the case of the SharePoint and Dynamics integration. So if your Dynamics environment is integrated with SharePoint, you can also leverage the same integration with Teams to pass through the document over to SharePoint. And what will happen is you will see a specific file folder created in SharePoint, like related to Teams, to capture that particular document. And for users, if you are familiar with CB replicated, which is a solution to allow the dynamic secure permission to propagate over to SharePoint, so you can leverage that same solution setup as well.
And then Cochrane was mentioning, could the flow be looking at a different environment? And they've got ask a question. If a Dynamics 365 record has a SharePoint document location associated, and the documents would normally be visible in the related documents tab, when we upload a file from Teams, is it creating another documents location? And is that what's being used and being displayed in the files tab?
So I believe that's the case. I'll be honest that I haven't tried a particular scenario with when the SharePoint integration comes into play, but that would be my assumption. Again, I will have to check that out to validate and confirm.
Okay, Raja Babu saying great presentation, walking through all the possible scenarios. Best wishes. Dominique is saying very professional presentation. Thank you for sharing. Davey is saying Microsoft announced DataFlex for Teams. What will this bring to Teams?
Yes, I think that would be definitely would be interesting to see what comes out of the recent the latest development. I'm sure Microsoft continue to invest and new features with this integration. So hopefully we'll see a lot more different features and functionality be released. Me, for example, I'm also looking forward to having that integration capability to surface chat records from Teams to Dynamics 365. I think that would be super helpful.
Definitely. So look, that was a great session, and look, the time was perfect. We have 1 minute remaining. So there you go. So we've come to the end of the event with a grand finale with Eric. Eric, do you have any final comments or anything you'd like to share?
Just want to thank everyone for taking the time to attend the presentation. Again, apology on the little hiccup there at the end related to the Power Automate. But if you get a chance, please try that out. It's a pretty straightforward template to work with. And again, my